Hey guys, this is Brent with the Finding Freedom podcast, and today things are going to look a little bit different. I have a friend of mine who I've met through Facebook, who's a fellow therapist in the Detroit, Michigan area. Her name is Thompson, and we've known each other for almost a year now. And I just think, like God's really put it together and put on both of our hearts that, we both have something to offer. So I want to have her as a recurring guest over. I don't really have a time frame, but a recurring guest, and we're going to see what God does with it. So without further ado, let's get to it.
It's definitely a crazy experience being a therapist at this time during the pandemic, because of all the pressures that we have. I just saw something. Somebody posted something, and it was like a little heart, and it said, "Love our first responders," and it kind of hurt a little bit because therapists weren't in there.
Yeah,
and, I'm not going to ask somebody to thank me, but it's hard. I'm hearing it. I'm hearing the nurses talk. I'm hearing, family members that have police officers. I'm hearing the stress. I'm hearing the death and the fear and the increased anxiety and the craziness of like, I can't be at home anymore, but I don't want to be and kill my family members. Like You hear all that stuff and you're fearful too. One of my biggest fears back in March, and I did a short video for my home church, Kensington. I did a video for them, and I asked them to pray for my clients because my biggest fear was I did not want to lose a client to suicide. And we opened back up in July, opened up for in-person visits, just not everybody, but just a majority of clients that really wanted to be seen.
Right.
And in November, a client of ours hung himself, was unsuccessful, but a week later they pulled him off the ventilator because of brain activity, a teenage boy. So yeah, that hurt. It wasn't my client, but it was a client at my office. So in essence, it was my client.
Right. And it's okay to feel, those feelings that you felt in the situation because, you knew this person, maybe not knew him as being his therapist, right? But you still knew him.
He came in the office. He was looking for assistance. His family wanted help. And it just hurt because my fear going into this was don't lose a client to suicide, which is why I posted the Motivational Mondays, because I thought if they saw me and they saw that I was doing okay and I was, teaching just something with a smile on my face, telling them that I'm praying for them and that I miss them and that we're going to be okay, that even though, some clients I was only able to reach them by phone, but a majority of them, we for those 4 or 5 months, we did telehealth, but I just thought that would be something good for them to look back. So I've chosen not to take those down off the website, although under normal circumstances, those wouldn't be videos that I, as a therapist, would post because they're posting like techniques for coping skills and managing. But under the pandemic, I felt it was important that I put those up there, but that's technically something as a therapist we wouldn't do.
Right. Yeah, it's been definitely an interesting experience being a therapist during the pandemic, and also, for me down here, 2 hurricanes back to back that basically destroyed our whole city. It's just been difficult, all of it, and now there's just an increased wave in COVID cases nationally, of course, but down here it's really it's pretty high. I know quite a few people that actually have COVID right now. It's pretty rough. So yeah, and speaking on on suicide. I mean, I've had a couple clients before the pandemic, none necessarily, during the pandemic, but it's not a fun experience when you have a client that you've worked with, that you've helped, that you've tried to, do X, Y, Z. And, the one in particular I'm thinking about in my head is they just stopped coming, and, I guess things kind of continue to go downhill, and then you get in your head and you think, well, if they wouldn't have just stopped coming, and, I could have did something different.
We can't make them come. Yeah.
No, I mean, you can't force anybody to drink the Kool-Aid. Not that it's Kool-Aid that we offer, but the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Right. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that.
Right. I like to call it encourage and motivate. I consider myself an encourage and motivator. That's what I do. I encourage and motivate clients. I don't force them. I don't preach to them. I encourage and motivate, and I encourage them to do the same thing with family members that aren't doing what they would like for them to do. So encourage and motivate. You want your partner to do A, B, and C? Okay, encourage and motivate. Honey, that feels so great when you take out the trash, when you tell me how beautiful I am, when you, whatever, that makes me feel so special. So yeah, encourage and motivate, but ultimately you can't twist somebody's arm. You can't force them to do anything. And I wouldn't want to either.
Right. No, I mean, and that's, it takes the free will out of it, because, right. It's easy, right? And I mean, what you said is just easy. Encourage and motivate. Okay, well, but why do people not actually do that? And I mean, it's indicative of, how bad habits are formed, and then they grow and grow and grow and grow, and then it just seems like this big mountain in front of you. I mean, the solution is really simple, but it's not easy. It's not easy to break habits that you've had for so long. I mean, and there's a whole lot of different factors. I mean, if you're dealing with depression yourself, it's hard to encourage and motivate others, for sure. So, I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole with this one, but, yeah, I mean, it's simple, but not always easy. But if you're consistent and you're persistent with trying to make a difference and change every day, I think it's really important, and it will be really helpful. So, just my 2 cents.
This is why it's so helpful to, for me, to dive into the Bible and
Yes.
and kind of hear Jesus' words, so I can think differently about things and hear what He wants me to do instead of what my mind tells me to do. I always try to the thing that gets me to do things is it the hardest thing that I could do? And if it's hard to do, then it's the right thing for me to do. I watched that video of you, and the look on your face. Now, you and I have never met in person.
Right.
This is actually the first time I'm hearing your voice and you're hearing mine.
Yeah, I guess it is.
I mean,
isn't it?
I've seen you. Yeah, I mean, I've seen you on video, so I've heard you that way, but you and I have not spoken.
Right.
We've texted back and forth. But looking at your face and just, the expression on your face, I'm like, he's traumatized. He's completely traumatized. I don't know what your community looked like before, but I could tell how it impacted you.
Right.
And so that's where I felt God asking me, you got to do something.
Yeah. And I swear, for those of you listening, right, she sent a very heartfelt letter that was very prayerfully written, and just I guess I would call it a financial gift, just to help out, right? Just a little bit of money just to help get through, because things were just completely decimated. But in the words in the letter, I knew that it was prayerfully written, and I think that's what really touched me the most. That you saw the video that I did. I mean, it's right. honestly, I just grabbed the camera and I'm like, I'm negative right now, and I can't really just pull out of that. And I didn't hide anything, and I just wanted to talk and just share my experience. And I mean, for me, I recorded that in our bedroom, right after the hurricane, and our house got a little bit of damage, but it wasn't too bad, so we still were able to be in our home. And but you just walk outside, and so I walk outside and just see all the devastation from the hurricanes, and this is where I grew up. So it's, all the trees are gone now, like so many are just gone, and it just doesn't look like the same place where you grew up. But at the end of the day, it is, and so there's that just pull back and forth that it was so difficult, and I still have hard days. I have a outside of this little shed that I'm in right here, I have probably a 25-foot tall pile of trees. I think there's like 7, 8, 9 trees, like big trees. I had to rent one of those big excavators, and it's 20 something foot tall, maybe 50 foot long. So it's in the shape of an oval. Like, it's just so big. I'm scared to burn it. I mean, not that I could burn it anyway, because it's been raining so much, but yeah, it's like, okay, well, I'm about to, burn my childhood down in the pile right there. And I mean, I get, they're just trees, but that was the landscape. That's the memories. That's, everything that you look and you see around, is just gone. But I think really where I've been is that, God allows certain things to happen. And I'm not going to go into the argument that he allowed or didn't allow this. I think it was just a circumstance. But at the end of the day, he will make good out of a situation. And so, what was broken and messed up and the pile of trees that I'm burning, I will be able to, through a lot of hard work, get the land right, make it look good. And I think it will be able to look good again. It's just going to take time, and it's going to be a lot of hard work, but it's possible, so we will be able to have new memories made here, even though all those trees are gone. So I mean, sometimes you just have to choose and really try to focus on the positive, which is what I actually made a couple of videos about that. Just try to focus on that one little positive thing, right? Even if it's just this big, you want to just focus on that one positive thing. And I've actually tried to do that every day, and really, I mean, I guess for me lately, it's been, the hurricane trauma, the destruction, that's still there. But, with the rise in COVID cases, we just had a baby, and nobody's really been able to come over. We're still, basically quarantining because, baby doesn't have really good immune system. And, it's just, it's so negative. I mean, we've been experiencing.
Every time you send me
Do what?
Every time you send me a picture of the baby, I'm telling you, I smell that baby. I can smell that. It's like diapers and
Oh
dress
yeah.
and, just the baby
The
shampoo.
baby shampoo.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my son is 28, and every time you send me a picture, I smell it like it's in my house. I have no baby stuff in my house.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I actually, we have this baby carrier that we bought. It's called a Ergo Baby or something. It has the straps and everything. It's secured. It has him in there. But I had him on for like 2.5, 3 hours. I was setting all the stuff up in this room, and he was just chilling, sleeping, and I would get me a sniff and then keep going. I know that's weird, but I mean, there's something about it. It's therapeutic.
no, it's totally not weird. I told you that I literally washed my bed sheets and dressed because it's just that something about that memory. It's just, I can't explain it. I mean, shy of sniffing baby diapers, clean, brand new, clean baby diapers. I mean, it's just, there's something about that smell that you don't get anywhere else. You just don't. It smells like new life. And you were just speaking of new life. You said, all this destruction with these trees and everything. It reminded me, and I obviously I can't Google it right now, but there's a certain type of pine cone that only sheds its seeds when it's exposed to high heat, like flames. So the pine cone stays closed and the seeds cannot, germinate and spread until it's lit on fire. So when a forest fire goes through, all of this new life happens as a result of it. So although there's all of this destruction that's happened, new life is being brought on by this, because if it wasn't destroyed, it can't be made new.
Yep. Yeah.
Hope.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard path to keep pushing forward through that, though. And we've been in COVID, like officially in COVID, for 9 months, and it's, I think we're on the verge of the whole vaccine thing, but we really don't know what that's going to look like in the next 2 or 3 months. Like, you want to hope, like, oh, it's coming to a close, but then it's like, oh, we've been in this for almost a year now. Like, I mean, when is it going to end? And it's just hard to know what to do. I have an office that was destroyed in the hurricane, and one, you can't even find an office right now in Lake Charles. But two, it's like, well, if I wanted to even get an office and go get a lease and pay rent and everything, would I even want to? Because what I would use it anyway. I don't know. Wow. So it's like, well, what do you do? It's just, yeah, and it's overwhelming. It's like, when is this going to end? I can't wait for it to end. Oh my gosh.
Right. Well, I'm glad that letter hit you.
It was perfect.
At
Perfect
a time
timing.
when you really needed it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that at the right timing, because I just kept thinking, God, what do you want me to do? And not that it's hard to write a letter, but it's can I say it's just uncomfortable, because you just don't know how someone's going to respond to it. You don't know if you're overstepping your bounds. You don't know. I mean, I had no idea what was going to happen as a result of that letter. And it wasn't a large monetary gift. It was really meant to show you that I was serious about this, and I was hoping that you were going to cash it. So it was really about showing that I care, and that, somebody's hearing you. And I think that's what we do as therapists. We're there to hear other people. And I, not only did I hear you, I felt it. I mean, I didn't have to know you as a person to see the look on your face. And I mean, that right there just got me. I was like, oh my God, just look. I don't know. I can't describe to you what it was that I saw, but there was something on your expression that just spoke to my heart. And I was like, I have to do something. So that's where that letter was inspired from.
Yeah. And just me reading your responses, I knew that it was very, like I said, prayerfully written, but like God really used you at the right time to send the right thing. And I've really tried to abide by that with that and other people whenever they want to give a gift, and I know that it's really God putting it on their heart. I'm not going to sit there and argue with them about it. Like, if God put that on your heart to send that gift, then that's great. I had another situation with my next door neighbor. I went and cut up a bunch of his trees, and older couple. So I went and I drove my tractor over there, got my saw, like cut up all kind of stuff, really went and helped them out as much as possible. Didn't expect anything, but he comes and hands me a pretty substantial sum of cash a few weeks ago. And I was like, okay, well, I know that I can't argue with you on this one, huh? He's like, nope. And I knew that God put it on his heart to give that. And I wasn't going to sit there and argue with it. And thankfully, I mean, we actually, used the money for something we needed to do for cleanup on our end. So it really worked out a lot. And I was very thankful for that, so it's like that perfect timing, right? So God always has perfect timing. It's just not always going to be the timing that you want. And I'm hoping, and I'm trying to get my perspective right with, the pandemic and even rebuilding here, is that I think that, that's really true for that as well. We just have to keep enduring, and we're going to continue to have opportunities for growth through this whole time. We're going to have opportunities to minister to people, and to, even if it just doesn't look what normal looks like. But if you really think about it, what is normal?
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I think it was a good tangent, but I mean, it's not a tangent really. I mean, it really is something important for people to really hear and to think about in the process, because, you know, I don't really think people, you know, think on that level, you know, especially when you're going through a traumatic experience that's lasted so long, like with, you know, the virus. It's easy to just get distracted and resentful and angry and frustrated, and you don't really talk about those feelings, and you just hold it in, and then you're just angry at the world. And that's where people who are already, you know, really struggling, it's worse, and people who aren't struggling at all, it's worse, right? So it's worse on everybody. And so it's, you know, what people aren't doing is actually talking about it. And you know, I think there are some, yes, because you know, in general, I think, you know, therapists are very busy. I don't know about you, but I am. Even if it's just on video, I mean, it definitely been an increase, you know, since COVID. And I guess that's you know, on one hand, it's a good thing, you know, okay, we're working with clients. On the other hand, it's very just indicative of where our society is, you know, how much people are actually struggling. But in my head, I think about, what are all the people that aren't seeking therapy doing? You know, there's been an increase in alcohol use, drug use, pornography use. I mean, I do sex addiction therapy. So, and it's been a while, but the statistics that was produced by Pornhub, and it showed like a 50% increase in the usage of pornography, I think. And that was like towards the beginning of the pandemic. I haven't really looked at it recently, just because things have been crazy. But yeah, I mean, and that's just one thing, you know, like, oh my gosh, what are people doing to cope? Yeah. You know, none of them are really doing healthy stuff.
Well, I mean, I was kind of frustrated at the beginning of this pandemic, because I live alone, and you know, there's struggles, there's struggles, medical issues and stuff, but that I won't go into. But you know, it's challenging. But I think, you know, later, you know, as some time went by, it really gave me an opportunity to think about, you know, how can I use this time effectively? And I feel like, you know, the TV went off. The reading and the studying and the, you know, journaling. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to clients about journaling, and you know, I don't talk to clients about it unless I'm doing it myself. So I can tell you the journaling has definitely gone up. The self-reflection, the, you know, thinking about things that I'm grateful for. I mean, there have been some really good things that have happened. I mean, I know those are kind of dirty words right now, but the reality is there are good things that happen. Yes, horrible things have happened. People have passed away. You know, people are struggling, you know, not being able to go to funerals, and, you know, not being able to, you know, attend, you know, family functions, and be able to touch and be with family. But there are some good things that are happening as a result too. And I think, you know, we're really having time to really be with the people. You know, I'm by myself, but other people, they're like cooking with family that maybe they wouldn't have been able to do. They're spending more quality time with family. So I think there's some positive in this. If you look for it, there's positive. If you look for the bad, you're going to find the bad.
Yep. I definitely agree. You know, and I think that one of the things that we can do, which is one of the reasons why I started this podcast, is just talk and encourage, right? And just be real about situations, right? So that I come up with the I guess title of the podcast. Yeah, that's what it is. Finding freedom, right? Okay, well, how do people find freedom? Well, I mean, through a lot of different ways, but one of the ways that you can relate to others is by just people sharing their stories, you know, or sharing some tips, you know, so it's very broad in the fact that I really wanted it to be a multifaceted approach of just like, you know, have people share their stories, their testimonies, but also, you know, like actually sharing some legitimate things that people could do to really work on their mindsets, you know. But it's really important to note that, you know, there's a lot of different tools that we can use. There's a lot of different things that we can do. But at the end of the day, you know, nobody has the exact formula of what we need to do, right? There's no exact answer. The world just doesn't work in absolutes. And so we can just try our best today and keep moving forward to tomorrow, and really just strive to continue to fight for that sense of community, even though we can't have it as much as possible with like before,
Right.
and people have so much to offer, and so that I don't know. I really am hopeful for it. Right. Just to be able to talk and have a conversation, and hopefully somebody gets something out of it. If one person gets something out of this conversation or any of the other conversations that I've had on the podcast, then okay, I'm happy, and I think that's what
Yeah.
it's about. You have to keep your perspective right. It's not about having 1 million followers or doing this or doing that. No, if one person benefits from it, then great. But I felt like I've
That is the
benefited from
key.
it, honestly, since doing it and talking to people. It's been helpful for me. It's therapeutic in the own way, right? You know,
Right.
so anyway, I don't know. I think it's going to be good. So, for those, I mean, I guess, can you give us like the nutshell version of who you are, where you're at? I know that you're not obviously in Louisiana, right? So there's a very big distance gap between us.
Yes, there is a time zone.
Yeah, there's a whole time zone difference, right?
So I am in the Detroit, Michigan area is where I reside and where my practice is. I haven't decided whether I'm going to be sharing this with my clients on my business website, or if I'm going to be sharing it on my personal website, because I have some opportunities to
Right.
do some things personally. I feel like God is calling me to do more than what I am doing as a therapist. That there are more opportunities for me out there. That He wants to use me outside of being a business owner that is, assisting
Right.
other therapists and clients. Um, so is there more that you wanted me to share about me, or is there something specific you wanted me to
Well, I
share?
mean, I guess, when we talked about this already, but sort of the plan is to do more than one. This is just basically a introductory kind of thing. But like, what are you hoping God can do through this in the episodes that we do together, right? For you, for your personal followers, maybe professional. I mean, what are you hoping for?
I am hoping. Well, I feel like over the summer, part of the things that I've heard God talking to me about, and I've really connected a lot more to my church family over the summer because I can through Zoom.
Yeah.
And that's sort of one of the blessings that's happened. If this pandemic happened like 5, 10 years ago, a majority of churches would not have been, up on the internet and connected. So
Right.
this was a perfect time, if you want to say there's ever a perfect time for a pandemic. Everything was, up and ready to go. So boom, everything was great. Okay, so watch online. I mean, I've been watching church online for years. So, so your question was, what do I hope to get out of this?
Yeah.
Well, I do feel like God's calling me to do more, and I don't have like clear direction on what He wants me to do. So it was actually really fabulous that I got that message from you. Do you want to be on the podcast? I'm like, yes, like, because that was part of, I went through a program at my church, and it was about God using us out in the community. And one of the things on my activation plan was to be on a podcast, to whether, I'm talking about mental health, or on a local radio station. I just know that God wants to use me in a bigger platform. And so, you know, I don't exactly know the specifics on that, but it's a little intimidating. It's a little scary. I don't, it's almost like walking in the dark. Like you got your eyes closed and you're just hoping that there's not stairs in front of you. But every couple of days there's something more that God throws in front of me. I'm like, okay, you're gonna work on this. Okay, you're gonna work on that. So I feel like He's putting me through boot camp right now to try to train me. So, every session that you and I do together is going to be training for wherever he wants
Yep.
me to go. And if this is all where I'm supposed to go, then that's where I'm supposed to go. I've certainly felt at times that he's wanted me to create a nonprofit, which just sounds absolutely ridiculous at this point. I am a business owner. I did not want to become a business owner. It was just something that kind of like, I don't know, it kind of fell in my lap. It wasn't a plan. Um, but yeah, I kind of feel like he's asking me to do that, but I haven't really gotten the specifics on, where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do. So I kind of just pray about it and wait,
Yeah.
wait for it to happen. So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that that's what we're all, we all need to do. I know that's what I'm doing. I can relate 100% to what you just said. Just keep following God, and you take the one step right in front of you, and then you take the next step, and then you take the next step. And you got to stop looking at the top of the pyramid, right? If you were climbing a pyramid, you focus on the first few steps in front of you. That way you don't trip and fall on your face. But it's really important, we're all in training until we're done, and until we're done here and we're ready to go. Yes, it's always going to be, we're going to be in training. We're going to be in process, and we live in a pretty broken and messed up world, especially now. But that's not necessarily even ever changed. Right. But we got to remember where our focus is, And it's just that one step right in front of the next, right in front of the next. So yeah, I don't have a clear idea of what our episodes will look like in the future. I definitely am excited for it. I think, I think that Finding Freedom has a lot to offer. I have a lot to offer, and I don't, I never have thought that all the time, right? That's just a me being in process, right? Because I've had to overcome thinking, oh, well, you don't have anything to offer. Why are you going to do video stuff? Why are you going to do this on camera? Like, what are you actually going to do? Like, oh, you're going to start a podcast? What are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about, okay, you're going to incorporate therapy and biblical stuff. Oh, well, you don't have a degree in seminary, right? Oh, you're not super knowledgeable, right? So all this stuff happens in
my head.
right.
How did you get in my head? I say the same things.
Yeah. So, I'm sitting here and I may look like I have everything together, but I don't, and I really try to be real about that, and I think it's things that people experience, but they don't talk about. And I think it's important to talk about it. I'm not going to sit here and say that, okay, I have this degree and I went to seminary and I also am a therapist. No, I'm not, but I do, have a degree in psychology. I'm a therapist. I'm licensed in the state of Louisiana. I've worked with a lot of people. While I'm not a Christian counselor, licensed, I do have a lot to offer in the realm of experience, and I do the best that I can, and that's really all that we can do. I'm a Christian who does therapy, right? So I still have to believe that God can use me, whatever the title is, whatever the degree is. He used fishermen, right? These guys that were on a boat, okay, well, he used them to change the world, and those people followed him and they left everything and they went and did what they needed to do. And that's who he used. He didn't use, he used a bunch of different people. You want to get real technical with it, which I don't want to go on a tangent with that. But yeah, those were the disciples. You don't have to have all the stuff together to be able to be used by God.
Right, Mary Magdalene, Simon, yeah. I'm just going to put a little shout out to my T-shirt, The Chosen, because I think they do an awesome depiction of Simon and how stubborn and how, like, he was just so stubborn. I'd like to think that that's a pretty good depiction of him, just like, no, it's, just that, like, I've been like fishing all night, like nothing, I'm not going to get anything, like nothing's going to happen. And then he tells him, throw it over the other side of the boat. And then it all happens. Like, it's just,
and it's interesting about that story. It's like, it's so simple. Like, okay, just throw your net on the other side of the boat. But it wasn't, I'm not going to argue if it was easy or not from like a actual physical sense, but it wasn't easy. They had to get to the place where they actually trusted that, okay, well, this guy, Jesus is right, so I'm going to trust him. And so it's a trust thing. and you got to put yourself
Yeah.
in a place where you can actually listen. So
Right.
if anything, like I think if anybody listens to this, put yourself in a place where you can actually, listen to what God's telling you to do. Because if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to make any progress moving forward to what your goals are. If you can't listen, right? I mean, and just on therapy, like, I mean, if you're working with a couple, if they're not listening to each other, are you going to be able to make any progress? Nope.
Right. And if it sounds difficult to do, it's probably the right answer. Because I know the biggest blessings that I've had are the things that I didn't want to do. Kicking, screaming, fighting, arguing, did not literally did not want to do. I was probably, clawing the walls as I was being told to move forward. I did not want to do this one major, major life change. And as a result of me doing that major life change, it brought me closer to God. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the person that was in my life I wasn't able to take them with me.
Right.
But that was God's choice. So, I can see it a little bit clearer now. But man, back then, all the praying, like, God, just change his heart. God, just do this. I mean, can't tell you how many times, but the most difficult thing that I had to do, I did. And I made some promises to God, and I feel like I followed through with those promises. And as a result, really awesome, great things have happened. God's taken care of me better than I could have taken care of myself, and better than anyone else on the face of this earth could have. So there is some promise in that if you follow faithfully and you do what you know is right, and the most difficult, sometimes the most difficult thing, I won't say it's always extremely difficult, but sometimes it can be very difficult and challenging. And then just trust, it might take a little bit of time, but it turns out well.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess we got a lot to look forward to then, don't we?
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
This is great.
I know it. And I think, like you said, I mean, this is the first time we've actually had a video conversation. But I'm pretty chill. I'm down to earth, and I think, some of the best qualities can be the worst, as far as I'm definitely, just kind of go with the flow, and I don't make a very great plan all the time. But, I think that was my goal with this, is not necessarily to have this uber major plan all the time, but I do want to incorporate some structure as well. So I don't know, but I am excited to do more with you. And so, the next one, I guess we'll be able to get to, I would love to hear more of your story, because I know like a very little bit of snippet what we've talked back and forth on Messenger, but I'm really excited to hear more of your story, and I think it's going to be really helpful for other people too. So,
well, I'm really excited that you contacted me and wanted to throw the opportunity at me. I mean, I've seen some of your guests. I can't imagine that I could be as impactful as your pastor and your meteorologist. I don't know that I could. I mean, those are people that are near and dear to your heart, and you don't know me. And I mean, I feel like I know you, and maybe you kind of feel like you know me, but I mean, this was a huge blessing. I really feel like, this was, let's go back even further. You and I started talking as a result of a Facebook group, and then I can't remember what ended up happening. Something happened on that Facebook group, and you asked me a question, and I asked you a question, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe we could help each other out. But I mean,
I think it was a marketing thing or something. I don't really even know.
Yeah, I mean, we started talking about marketing stuff, and I mean, this was in January or something.
Yeah, it was right before COVID.
It was right before COVID. You and I were both doing Instagram stuff. You're a little bit more advanced than I am with the video stuff. But it started out with just being friends, just being in a group together on Facebook, and then having some questions. Mm-hmm. and then noticing that we had some commonality and some things that we could share with each other. And I
Yep.
remember some of your early videos, and I'm like, that's really good. I can't believe you did such a good job on that. Like, I'm impressed. I was like, I couldn't do that. But yeah, and now here you are, like running your own podcast and everything. How awesome is that? So I appreciate your gifts and willing to bring me on and to share that with other people. And I do hope that I can offer something to somebody, and I do hope that there's something that I'm saying that resonates with someone and it helps somebody, because
Absolutely.
that's my purpose. I'm not doing this for notoriety. I'm not doing this for followers.
Right.
I don't need any business at the office. We've got plenty of business. I just want to give back and
Right.
give it away. Give away just like it's been given to me.
Yeah, I think you and I are on the same page with a lot of the mentality there. Because I mean, I'm not doing this for notoriety either. I'm just that one person that can benefit from it. I'm wanting to help. So until next time, I guess I really appreciate you being on today. And until next time, see you soon.